The rain poured torrentially over the imperial city of Veldrath. Heavy, thick droplets pounded against the stone rooftops, trickling down like small, dirty rivers through the dark streets. The wind howled like a starving beast, whispering forgotten secrets between the alleys. The midnight air was silent, save for the muffled sound of hesitant, almost staggering footsteps. A young man with black hair and golden eyes dragged himself through the streets, his body marked with open wounds. Blood streamed from a deep gash on his forehead, mingling with the cold rain. Cale Draven, an orphan who had always lived in the shadow of nobility, felt his strength fading. Since childhood, he had been humiliated, rejected, and used as a stepping stone for the powerful to climb even higher. He had never had a true home, never known what it was like to be valued. Now his body was at its limit. His lungs burned with every breath. Pain carved itself into every inch of his skin. He stumbled, falling to his knees on the wet stone, his eyes closed. The end was near. But then, something happened. A translucent blue glow illuminated the darkness. The dark system has been activated. Error detected. The user has suffered an unjust death, rewriting destiny. Cale felt something different, as if an invisible hand were stitching his wounds and injecting pure energy into his veins. His body, which had barely been able to move moments ago, now pulsed with an unnameable power. The cold and the pain vanished. He opened his eyes. Everything around him seemed sharper. The city, the alleys, the shadows. It was as if he were seeing a new layer of reality. He rose to his feet, his golden eyes now shining in a way they never had before. Something inside him had changed. Skill unlocked, void touch. Cale raised his hand, feeling a dark energy pulsate in his fingers. He instinctively channeled this force and unleashed a blast against the nearest wall. The solid structure didn't just crack, it disintegrated into black dust. He stared at his own hand, astonished. He was no longer weak, but he soon realized he wouldn't have time to get used to his newfound powers. Bells began ringing throughout the city. The orders were clear. Cale Draven must be exterminated. Hundreds of soldiers marched through the streets, led by paladins and sacred mages. The Royal Inquisitor, a man clad in golden robes, raised his voice in the city's center. He is a bearer of chaos. He is the heir of shadows. The fate of the Empire depends on his death. Cale, now watching from atop a tower, smiled. The same people who had once despised him now trembled at the mere mention of his name. He raised his hand. Darkness consumed the sky. The ground trembled. You want to hunt me? Very well. I will give you a true monster. The guards attacked first. Enchanted arrows tore through the air. Spears of sacred light shone like meteors. But Cale was no longer a mere human. He moved like a shadow, dodging every strike with impossible speed. His feet barely touched the ground as he slipped between attacks, his figure dissolving and reappearing as if he were toying with his enemies. Skill unlocked. Shadow step. With a snap of his fingers, Cale summoned blades of dark energy that shredded the nearest guards. Mages attempted to erect magical barriers, but their defenses shattered like glass before the power of the dark system. The plaza became a scene of carnage. Then General Varkas entered the battlefield. Varkas was one of the Empire's most feared warriors. His golden armor gleamed, and his sacred sword carried the essence of the very sun. "You are not a man," Varkas roared, charging at Cale with fury. "You are a curse!" Kyle laughed, dodging the general's attacks with superhuman ease. His eyes gleamed with contempt. "And curses cannot be stopped, General." With a swift motion, Cale's shadows pierced the warrior's chest. Silence fell over the city. Varkas, the hero of light, collapsed to his knees. His eyes reflected only horror. He had never imagined he would be defeated. The news spread like wildfire. The Empire realized a terrifying truth. Cale Draven was not just a villain. He was the strongest existence ever seen. The churches cursed his name. The oracles prophesied his downfall. The kings gathered in panic. But Kyle did not care. He was no longer the rejected orphan. He would not beg for acceptance. He would be feared. He would be unbeatable. He would be eternal. As the days passed, the Empire's forces attempted to resist. but it was futile. City after city, Kale advanced like an inevitable shadow. His powers evolved. His control over darkness grew. The kings who had pursued him fell one by one. Those who had once humiliated him now crawled at his feet, begging for mercy. And Kyle laughed, because mercy had died the night the system chose him. But this was only the first phase of his ascension. There were other kingdoms, other lands beyond Veldrath. There were more powerful empires, rulers who commanded magic beyond comprehension, and warriors who had been deemed gods. Kale knew he was not yet invincible. The dark system whispered in his mind, showing him glimpses of what was yet to come. Main quest updated: conquer the 5 elemental thrones. He saw visions of distant realms, cities floating in the sky, fortresses built in the depths of the ocean, temples guarded by immortal beings. To rewrite the fate of the world, he would have to seize the elemental thrones, the primordial sources of power that maintained the balance of existence. The first stop would be the kingdom of Alarion, the land of light mages. Its ruler, King Altheron, was said to be one of the only beings capable of manipulating time itself. But Kale feared nothing anymore. His name was already whispered in terror by the winds, and with every fallen city, his army of shadows grew. The path to absolute domination was set, and Kale Draven was ready to walk the road of chaos. There was no turning back. The world would not witness a king. The world would witness a god reborn from the darkness.